Hi again. The last few videos I've been trying to get you to see the world in a holistic way rather than trying to draw something in isolation. So I'm really going to take that idea a little bit further today. So to try and better explain that to you, if I showed you this image, image A, and image B, and said to you, is that image exactly the same as that? You would think, well, no, of course it's not. You know, that's quite different. The shapes there in this image are quite different from the images at the bottom. But actually, the object that I was drawing was exactly the same object. And now if I show you, there we are, look. And what actually it is this. It's a piece of driftwood that I've got in my garden. So here we are. This is me drawing, and I'm just at this point looking at the very dark shadows. So this is the driftwood in the evening, and you can see there the really dark shapes, and actually that's that. Now if you look at that and then you look at this, can you see they are, you can see them, there's the dark shape there, and that's this shape here. So what is determining the shape of that object is how the light is fitting it, is hitting it, and that's absolutely crucial. So an artist that explored that idea further was Monet, one of the Impressionists, and he did a series of paintings of Rouen Cathedral, and he set his canvases up so that he was painting at different times of the day, because he discovered that the shape of the cathedral was only that shape at a particular time of day. So if I show you here, look at, see at this time of day, the shape of the cathedral was a lighter against a dark sky, whereas I think that's possibly in the morning, you've got a dark shape against the light sky. So you wouldn't be able to actually draw something convincingly unless you were also looking to see what is either side of it. Now, if I show you this, up till now, if I'd asked you to do this piece of driftwood, you might have been tempted to go out and draw something like that. Now, that has some merit because it is you sitting there and you are observing, trying to look at the shapes that are in the driftwood. Where this slightly falls down is because you're wanting to show that the driftwood has edges, you then draw a line around it. Now that line doesn't ever exist. It's only you trying to show something in isolation, and you don't see things in isolation. The only time you would ever really see something against a white background is if it was snowing, and even then snow has a tone. So it would only ever be if you're trying to draw something against a white screen, which doesn't really exist. So, but to say that has some merit, and it wouldn't take much for you, if you've drawn that, to just start to be very aware of what is up there, what is there, and what is there. Because as I say, that is going to determine what your drawing is. It's always best to start off with the very dark shadows first here. Can you see that? Because you can see those more easily, and it goes back to this idea. So we're looking for these really dark shadows first, and if you start to pick those out, this gives your mind a time to adjust. And I say mind rather than eyes because it's this bit in your brain which has to it's got to switch on, and it takes quite a few minutes for that to do. So by the time you've actually looked at all the dark shadows, you will have been able to select the shapes, which is really what you're drawing. When you've done that, if you come back, if Tarantino here comes back, I would then look for maybe a not so dark shape. Now I can see something there. If I draw it for you, see there's definitely something going on in there. So I would probably start to shade that in a more of a darker, not quite so mid-tone, something like that. There's another one. So you start to look for tone all over the place and work your way to what will probably be the light stuff. These are the white things here. As I say, it takes a little while. But if I just go back to this, so if we go back to this one here, and if you can see, let's take that. So if you've done something like that, now you can see quite clearly here that is light against dark. So it wouldn't take much, would it, just to if I can just do that, you do it more carefully. Remember, you've got your torchon as well, which helps you. So if I just very quickly block that in for you, and you can see already, so what's happening is that line now is disappearing, the line that you've drawn, that contour line that you don't need. And again, you can just, it doesn't have to be dark all the way around, because it's dark and then it's probably going to get a bit lighter. So we're doing this type of thing. And you might have a situation where you've got this dark against light, and then you might find this area is light against dark. And it's something called counter change in a drawing where you've got dark, light, light, dark. So here's just something to show you, an illustration. I always put arrows on a drawing to show the direction of the light, but there we are, look, the top of the foliage was light against a slightly darker sky. Down here, a light trunk against the darker ground, but on the other side, because of the shadow, that was a dark trunk against the light. So I've got this counter change of light, dark, light, dark. And also it enables me also, can you see here, to get these lost edges. I couldn't see a line between the top of the stone dike there and the shadow of the tree. And that, at that point, you've got a lost edge. And if you remember last week, you've probably got another one. You could probably get another one in there. Look, you see there'll be no change in tone between that and that. So the shape you're actually looking at this point, I'm going to ruin my drawing now, is that there is the shape you should be seeing. Can you see it's not this tree shape? These are the shapes you're looking for. So that's why you have to look at the world in a holistic way and look beyond the object. So what I want you to do is to find something like a piece of wood or a rock, something that you don't have to worry too much about proportion, because I'm not wanting to talk about proportion at the moment. And I want you to draw it at 2 different times of the day. I want you to draw it in the morning, and I want you to draw it later on the day or in the evening, and I want you to do the 2 separate drawings, and I want you to compare them, because I want you to understand they are 2 completely different drawings. If you haven't got a garden, put something on the windowsill and in strong light, and actually see how the light hits that object at different times of the day. Thank you for watching.